gender neutral. I mean, I think there are a lot of limitations within the Act itself. For example, the Act states that the manager is solely in charge of handling cases of sexual harassment and the final decision. So there is no sexual harassment committee that is in charge of the investigation process, or to take the final decision like we see in the Title IX in the US. So in context of Nepal, if you look at the data given by the University Grant Commission, we can see that 92.1% of faculty are men. So most likely the manager who are taking these decisions and tackling these issues of sexual harassment are also most likely men. And similarly, again, there are a lot of limitations. If we look at, for example, like if the accused is found to have committed the act, the first two actions that the manager has to take is, number one, conduct conciliation between victim and accused, and cause the accused to apologize to the victim. So which adds a lot of pressure to the victim, and we can see that it's not really victim-centric. And even the way of complaining, so the complainant is required to file a complaint with evidence within the time frame of 90 days from the date that sexual harassment has been committed. So there's that time limitation and need for evidence as well. So even though the Act exists, we can see that there are a lot of limitations within the Act.
As far as the society is concerned, broadly, how do you see gender inclusion taking place? And as far as inclusion of women is concerned, do you see a lot more women joining workforces? And what about the LGBT community as well? Do you see more inclusion taking place, or from a general society perspective, what does it look like right now?
Mm-hmm. I think there are both positive and negative aspects as well. So a lot of strides have been happening in terms of, positive strides when it comes to women or LGBTQI community. But again, there's a long way to go as well. And I think we need to remember both of that. For example, like Nepal does have a lot of progressive laws when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community, especially in context to other countries within South Asia. For example, the Constitution recognizes the members from the various LGBTQIA plus community. But again, even despite of having that in the Constitution, we can see that it does not translate into our societal norms and actions, and it's mostly on paper. So again, there's a long way to go in terms of how the society perceives members from the LGBTQI community, and even women from various intersectional background, because to a large extent, members from the queer community are still denied equal rights to education, marriage, property rights, and constantly have to face harassment and discrimination from individuals and institutions.
Understood. Bhavna, coming to you as well, what kind of guidelines, policies, or processes exist for colleges or just in the larger education segment to ensure safe spaces for both students as well as teachers and generally adults, and also the interpersonal or the equation that the student teachers may also have. So what do these policies and structures look like?
Shivangi, whenever we think of safe and respectable learning, generally one thing that comes in everybody's mind is how to not have something related to sexual harassment inside the campus setting or in the educational institution. But something that we miss is that there are other things. For example, we go through even the students, faculties, and other staff members go through their other kinds of problems. For example, they go through like verbal abuse. There are also something called online harassment. There's also just misconduct or mistreatment. So these are some of the things that like abuse, just simply abuse or intimidation, discrimination based on gender or age or even ethnicity, and something that we don't really think of when we think of like including or ensuring policies related to safe and respectable learning. And one thing that what Swechhya also highlighted, which is very sad, is that though there are acts and like legal procedures when it comes to the larger system, when it comes to harassment, there is very less attention when it comes to education institution. Though like we can see that the cases and the awareness in the sense that we have to talk about it if there is anything related to misconduct, or we have to express this, we have to not keep it with ourselves, is there, it's rising. But what is not in place is that what to do after someone goes through something like that, what to do when someone goes through like feels intimidated, and when someone says, oh, this is not something that I intended, then how to like address that, that's not in place. And this is something that while I am, even if I'm working particularly with the human resource department for the last 3 years, this is something that we have been struggling ourselves, because like as an education institution, what we have been following is also from the adaptive version of what Swechhya mentioned, that is related to workplace harassment act that's in place there. And what we feel is that the adaptation is not enough, because it does not really talk about or encompasses what actually goes inside the campus environment. And each institution is different. Each institution has a different set of like people. It works in even the education institution, like they are they function in a very different environment, and how intersectional it is, how like what kind of policies are should be in place to actually talk about the cultural beliefs or the ethnic beliefs, and these are not even considered or not even talked about. So being a very multicultural country, this is one another like problem, or not a problem but a challenge that we are facing, as to ensure everything in place, but also to make sure that there is a safe and respectable learning environment. Because what we have been facing as a real challenge is how everybody talks about the defines the word even safe and respect in any education institution, and not having that a larger policy in place with regard to education institution has really been a problem, Shivangi.